we would like to welcome you today to palministries.com Blog Talk Radio, and we want to let you know that you can go to our website, palministries.com, and sponsor an episode. In the upper right corner, hit donate. We are also trying to raise money through the chip-in program, trying to raise money to become a premium host. We are looking forward to the show today. Thank you for stopping by. The previous show, we gave all of you a vision of what palministries.com Blog Talk Radio is trying to do. And giving you our vision, I would like to remind everyone about our newsletter. We will have a link in our upcoming newsletter with a sermon from Reverend William Gale. The only way to get it is to subscribe to our newsletter. Before we start this last segment of our two-part series, we would like to say a big thank you to Mrs. Jane Hannold for her taking time with us to interview her. She is with HIM, Hope International Missions. And as you heard on the previous show, she wears several different hats. We are also looking for some sponsors for our shows, and also if you're a Christian business owner and would like to help us with a product for us to do a drawing or a giveaway on our show, please contact us. My personal email address is pastorpowell@netzero.net. We are also wanting some testimonies called in. You can go to our website, palministries.com, and in the upper right corner, just below the donate button, there is a number you can call, 304-534-9443. Let it ring until you can leave your name and then your testimony. Thank you for tuning in today, and now let us get on with the second part of our two-part series dealing with teens and our interview with Mrs. Jane Hannold. Could you give us maybe a list of needs that you specifically have for the ministries that you're involved in?
Well, for my teen ministry out at Indiantown, and I know this is an old need, but it has never been met. I need a man's man or a man's guy that will go out and minister to teen boys. Mm-hmm. I have one little boy, and it brings tears to my eyes every time I talk about him. He's been coming to my children's ministry since he was probably 7, maybe younger. He's now 15, and he's in juvenile center for the second time. And I have asked and requested prayer for him for years and said, if somebody doesn't intercede for this boy, he's going to be a criminal. And he's well on his way. Mm-hmm. I don't have a boys' teen ministry because I don't have a boy or a young man to help me do that ministry. Right. That's one of my main needs. And I know they say, well, that's repetitive. And it is. But until that need is met, it is going to be repeated. I'm sorry.
Sure.
Until I find somebody that can help me with that need. The other thing, we need people to make crafts to send to us to sell. The funniest thing is the little scrunchies that you make out of nylon netting. Right. I have sold over $70 of those things since right before camp in February. Good. I need somebody to make them, please. Right. Towels that have the little hooks that go over handles. People love those. But I think those are material things, and I do need some material things to staff or to put in the shop. But the main thing I need is prayer.
Sure.
Not only for myself, for wisdom, for strength, but for the ministry. You know, until we really get a burden and see our kids are leaving our churches and our ministries, right, and until we really see and pray for them. Every Sunday we have a mom's prayer group. It's been going on for probably 15 years now. I started that long time ago.
Right.
And every Sunday we meet at 5:45 and pray for our children and grandchildren
Good.
and any special needs in our church.
Sure.
That's
Sure.
another thing people can do. Start a prayer group.
Mm-hmm.
Start a Bible study. Do a craft class with teens. I'm having a bunch of girls come this afternoon
Mm-hmm.
because they saw something I had made and they want to make them.
Right.
But prayer, I think, is the highest priority. We're dealing with eternal souls.
Right.
We're not just dealing with teenagers.
Mm-hmm.
We're dealing with kids that are going to be in eternity someday.
Sure.
A lot of our broken homes and our broken-hearted teens, they just need love.
Mm-hmm.
Last week out at Teen Girls Club, I had my helper walk one of the girls home, and on the way back she said to me, one of the girls, and she called her by name, admitted that she had been cutting herself.
Mm-hmm.
And she is in counseling.
Wow.
And my first thought is, what kind of counseling? And
Mm-hmm.
who's the counselor?
Right.
The counselor
Right.
that she needs is Jesus.
Right.
And if we can teach her and show her that,
Sure.
we can maybe save her
Sure.
from cutting
Yeah.
and from the broken situations at home,
Right.
and have her fall in love with Jesus. Who knows? She could be a future preacher's wife.
Right. Exactly.
We don't know.
Could you? I know maybe some in our movement has not heard of what cutting is. This is
Okay.
an extremely. It's an addiction
It is.
that it just kind of overwhelms me. The extremes young people will go to,
Mm-hmm.
I think, basically for attention.
Yes.
And one aspect of it, and another is, it's. I guess I don't understand from their mindset of
Right.
what they're going through, because I never had to go through it. But when I first heard of cutting, I don't like pain myself.
No.
So
But, Jim, I think the problem is they are in so much pain. What cutting is they take a knife or some kind of an instrument and they cut themselves till they bleed, usually. And my Christian service girl asked her, she said, why do you do that? And she said, because when I see the blood or when I cut myself, it's a relief. I feel so much better. They are hurting so badly that to inflict physical pain upon themselves makes them feel better. I can't imagine that kind of pain
right.
or hurt,
Sure.
but they are going through it unbelievably. When you have maybe a stepfather that's molesting you,
Mm-hmm.
maybe an uncle, any family member, or you have a brother that is selling you to his boyfriends for drugs,
Right.
you have no idea what all goes on out there until you get into these situations.
Sure.
These kids are hurting big time.
Sure.
So
Sure.
to them, that's a little bit of relief.
Right. Right. That reminds me of the church I pastor, our van ministry. I have spoken to the wife of the couple several times, and they're into some rough homes. In fact, she has stated over and over almost, and they've had, in a year's time, we've had over close to 80 plus different children through our church.
Mm-hmm.
And she said every one of the young girls have been physically abused.
I believe it.
And she stated, we don't as her statement is, you don't understand, Pastor. Father, brother, it doesn't matter.
Mm-mm.
And they are carrying baggage that we can't understand.
We do not comprehend. And I said one time, how do you teach a 15-year-old abstinence?
Mm-hmm.
You're trying to train her in abstinence. She lives in a 2-room shack with a mother and a boyfriend and 4 siblings and the TV going all day long and seeing anything and everything.
Right.
Who knows what all.
Mm-hmm.
But thank God that girl got saved.
Good. Good.
And she is one of my shining stars. But I'm
Sure.
telling you, it's not easy.
Right.
They live in a world we know nothing of.
Right.
And
Right.
unless you go out there and minister and talk with them, talk to their parents,
Sure.
we're getting ready to have a mother-daughter tea for
Mhm.
Mother's Day
Mhm.
because we want to know their mothers more.
Sure.
One girl said, well, my mom won't come. Well, I'm sure that's probably true of several, but I'm going to try
Right.
and get those mothers to come.
Sure.
You know, my daughter ministers in Pennsylvania, and she does a little thing that I think is really neat. She has a little tea party for all the ladies in her church that are over 65.
Good.
And then she sits them in a rocking chair with a hat on and asks them questions about their childhood.
Mhm.
And the younger women are just so furious that they can't come. But you can find ways to minister to anybody, even if it's your own church people.
Sure.
There are ways to minister.
Sure. All right. Well, um, if someone wants to volunteer, I know that we have stated, just get with the local pregnancy center. But I guess I want to specifically ask you for your local need, and I guess this will kind of bridge into wanting you to give some ways to get in contact with you. But if someone, I guess I'm thinking of Hope Sound is a ever-changing environment, and you have new ones coming in
Right.
and all the time. So if someone hears this and wants to say, that's what I know God wants me to do,
Mm-hmm.
how can they get a hold of you, step up and say, I want to help? Could you tell us some ways they can get a hold of you, or whether it's maybe a website, phone number, however, and then I will let you go ahead and finish up
Okay.
and take it, and however maybe you have an example of a girl you want to give, or however you want to close.
Okay. Well, you can contact me personally, Jane Hannold. My address is 8998 Southeast Colony Street, Hobe Sound, Florida, 33455. Or you can email me at bjhandle, HANDLE, at AOL.com. You can call my home phone, 772-546-6027. You can call my cell phone, and if I haven't lost it in the meantime, it's 561-339-0770. Actually, that's a family joke. I lose my keys or my cell phone once a week. Or you can contact me through HIM, P.O. Box 1065, Hobe Sound, Florida, 33475. Or you can call them, 772-546-1113. Or you can send me something through Life House of Hope. And that's Life, L-I-F-E, House of Hope. Craft Shop at 9282 Bethel Way, Hobe Sound, Florida, 33455. I don't have a phone in the craft shop as of yet, but you can call me personally. And if your church is interested, my husband and I are going to be planning on doing some more traveling. He's retiring this year from the college. And we would be glad to come to your church and hold a service or a seminar. And how do you do this? How do you start a ministry?
Sure.
Where do you go? My husband has taught here for 41 years, and he is very good with seminars, and he has some things he's working on. So contact me. I'd be glad to work with anybody. As far as my ministry, the Life House of Hope, we use lighthouses as our main logo, other than the HIM logo. But it's Life House of Hope, and I want this lighthouse to save lives.
Mm-hmm.
Not only physical lives, babies, unborn babies, mama's lives. I want to see them not only saved for now, but for eternity. And I really, really know that God led me into this ministry.
Sure.
And I know that there are results that I'll never see, and that's okay. The only thing that really concerns me is, Lord, please don't let it stop with me.
Right.
I'm not going to
Right.
be here forever.
Sure.
Please let it be ongoing. Let somebody pick up the torch and move on. Save babies, save lives. See the needs of our teenagers. You know, when we were kids, we thought things were bad.
Right.
Of course, a lot of us went to public school,
Mm-hmm.
and we thought, oh, this is horrible. But you know what? We didn't face anything compared to what our kids are facing.
Right. Right.
And when you stop and think evolutionary teaching, all the public school teaching, if your kids go to public school, you've got a bigger problem on your hands than you realize.
Yes.
And that's one thing my husband is very, very interested in, is promoting Christian education.
Mm-hmm.
There's a reason behind that.
Sure.
We're losing
Sure.
a lot of our kids because we let them go to public schools and then we don't understand why their minds are so saturated with issues of our day.
Right. Right.
But just trust God. You know, it hasn't been easy. I'll
Mm-hmm.
put it that way.
Sure.
There are battles that nobody knows about but my husband and I.
Right.
I have battled some within our own Christian community,
Mm-hmm.
you know, and some things that happen within the community, the red tape you go through, just, you know, it's incredible, unbelievable.
Right.
But God has brought us through. I don't know what is ahead.
Mm-hmm.
I jokingly tell the teenagers and the kids, I don't know what I'm going to be when I grow up. But God knows, and He
Right.
knows what's ahead, and
Sure.
I'm leaving it in His hands.
Sure.
But thank you for this time. It's been enjoyable.
Well, I appreciate you taking your time, and my desire is for us in the holiness movement to realize, number one, realize the problems that are out there,
Exactly.
and two, to realize that, you know, we may have made mistakes in the past, but if we learn from those mistakes,
Right.
we can hand our children and our grandchildren a more solid holiness movement.
Right.
And someone once said, you know, I can't remember who it was, but they said, you know, if you don't learn from history, you're bound to repeat it.
Exactly.
And we in the holiness movement, I guess this is why I've started this blog show, is to remind us that there are those
Mm-hmm.
in various ministries, various areas of God's kingdom. There are struggles.
There are.
There are ups, there are downs, but most of all, we have a God that knows exactly where you're at.
And the other thing, James, if anybody wants to contact me, like if there's a parent that has an unexpected pregnancy with their
Mm-hmm.
child or any problem with teens, this little building is not just a craft shop.
Sure.
It's for prayer groups, it's for Bible study, it's for counseling. In fact, one of the girls from the office was in one day and we were both crying about problems. And she said, if you're going to do this, please get some Kleenex. So I went out the next day and bought Kleenex.
Sure.
But I've done a lot of counseling, and I don't say I have all the answers, but I do know how to encourage,
Sure.
and I do know how to care,
Sure.
and we should all be able to do that.
Right.
And if
Right.
we bear one another's burdens like the Bible tells us, we
Yes.
will care.
Sure. Sure. Well, thank you again
You're
so
welcome.
much for allowing me to interview you, and I do wish, and we'll be praying that God will continue to bless your ministry
Thank
and make this little craft shop a lighthouse for Him.
Thank you.
You very much.
Thank you.
Thank you again for stopping by and listening to our show today. I want to remind you that you can go to our website and check out the number, call in for leaving a testimony, also sign up for our newsletter, and you will receive special links, different things that we offer those who are signed up that no one else knows about. So thank you for stopping by, and we are looking forward to being at IHC. If you're going to be at IHC this next month, maybe we'll cross paths, and if not, we will maybe cross paths down the road. God bless.
That you can be involved if you really want to be.
That I was just getting ready to say. So if someone really, if they want to do something bad enough, they'll find a way to do it. And we just need to realize that there are needs that are represented.
This is the end of our show today. This is part one of a two-part series. We invite you back in a couple of weeks to listen to our show with Sister Jane Hannold as she talks of teen struggles and specifically teen girls. Thank you for listening today, and God bless.